But I think right now, Austin is just an inkling of what it can be. You go to these major cities and you look around and you see buildings sky high, packed in everywhere, bridges, traffic, all of this stuff, so much business and commerce. And then you go to downtown Austin and it's underwhelming.
Right.
When Austin reaches that level, which, it will, right?
Yeah, we're only in 2022. We're only in 2022, right?
I think, a lot of people will be disappointed that they don't get in at this level.
Hey, what up, guys? It's Juan Garcia. Welcome to the show. Today we have on our special guest, Matt Cenca. He actually sponsored a couple of my events, and I'm super excited to have him on the podcast today because many of you may not know his business background, and he's speaking at Vanderbilt coming up pretty soon. So glad to have him on before Vanderbilt has him on. But Matt, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? What are you up to now? Your bio, right?
For sure. First off, thanks for the great introduction there, Juan. I really appreciate it. Hey guys, my name is Matt Cenca. I've been a serial entrepreneur my whole life since the age of 15. I've run several successful and some unsuccessful businesses along the way. And I currently am the founder and CEO of an investment group.
Awesome. So let's go over your origin story. You talked about being a serial entrepreneur. When was your first time that you can remember just having that entrepreneurial mindset?
Well, I'll tell you, I started when I was 15 years old. Now, I probably had, an attachment to money ever since a young age, is what my parents told me anyways, right? But when the entrepreneurial journey started for me, I was 15 years old, and I had started buying and selling used electronics from kids at school, and I was posting them on eBay and making a profit. And that's where I got my first taste of entrepreneurship. Nice. Fortunately for me, that business actually evolved deeply over the next 13 or so years until its end in 2020 when I was 28 years old. We were in Inc. magazine for the top 100 fastest growing companies in Texas for that year. And it was just a really crazy journey to see something that I started with $200 and no investors come to fruition to something of that magnitude later down the line from all the work I put into it.
Yeah. What was that journey like at the beginning of that?
Well, to be quite honest with you, it kind of got me in a little bit of trouble. Buying and selling used electronics was a new business back then, and it seemed shady at best in a public high school. So we ran into some problems, with students, with admin, a lot of questioning. Sometimes came down to they wanted to search my locker. It was actually,
oh really?
Yeah. Okay. rough start, but kept pushing. But in the beginning, it was that, and then eventually it evolved into I was out there hustling and buying stuff on Craigslist, and that that had its ups and downs as well. You know how Craigslist goes.
Right. No, I'm a bit familiar with that. I talked about this a little bit on the first podcast, but I actually did buy watches on Facebook Marketplace because they're so cheap, and then sell them on eBay. So that basically that flipping hustle, I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah. It's definitely, it has its different set of problems when you're dealing with customers and individuals on the street in person, then as opposed to as it grew and it became, an international wholesale business that comes with its own unique set of problems. But yeah, man, that's kind of how it got going, just straight hustling and flipping until I had enough money to, scale up until the level we got to.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of entrepreneurs out there, a lot of people that are listening, they might be able to make that flip though, but they have a hard time scaling, right? Mm-hmm. So what would you say was your factor of success in scaling your business?
Wow, there were so many different levels of scale, right? From where it started to where it got, right? And it was all done incrementally in the sense that I never tried to grow too fast, right? It was always that organic growth from my last dollar made, right?
Mhm.
So I progressively scaled in the right direction, but in stages, right? I didn't try to, oh, cool, I flipped a few electronics here. Let me try to turn this into the next big thing, right?
Right.
You do so in a progressive, almost standardized manner. And a lot of the problems that people have with their businesses, right, or these flippers have, is they try to scale too fast and they run out of money, or they don't
Mhm.
have enough time commitment to put in, or they don't have the resources to actually run a business, right? They know how
Right.
to flip stuff. You know how to buy for one and sell for two, right? Anyone can do that, right?
Right. Right.
Turn it into a legitimate business, and there's employees and payroll and taxes and all these new things coming at you.
Mhm.
That's a different set of problems that you are not necessarily prepared for just by flipping something.
Definitely, definitely. And so I assume you talk about, employees and things like that. I've always been an entrepreneur that likes low overhead for me, and that especially helped through the pandemic. And speaking of the pandemic, how was that for you? Because I know I had a lot of business friends that had a tough time. Why don't you speak about going through the surviving the pandemic, man? We're back in the COVID times. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Well, the business that I was talking about, or have been talking about this whole podcast,
Mhm.
that by nature just kind of shrunk. Our suppliers were going out of business, shipments
Mhm.
were getting delayed internationally. It was a time of shrinkage for us. So in that moment, I said, well, what am I going to do? So I started to actually open several other companies at that time. I launched a marketing company. I launched a freight brokerage, quite a few actually, just kind of
Dope.
diversifying my business portfolio. I said, hey, I have the knowledge, I have the skills, I have the money, right? I can't put it into my own business right now just because that's on pause for nothing I can do about it, right? So
Right.
I moved my, assets in terms of cash and mental assets and shifted positions into different industries that I
Mhm.
thought would be doing well during and post pandemic. And that was interesting. I ended up with, I think, 6 or 7 different entities by the time the whole, the main stage of the pandemic had ended.
Right, right. Yeah, you talked a little bit about how you're a serial entrepreneur. What's that like, I guess, starting different companies? Is there a certain thing that you're looking at? You did talk about money a little bit. Is it all about money, or is there certain like passion projects you have? And it's not bad to be all about money, because there's certain passion projects I have that like I see so far in the future to where it's like, all right, we're gonna work in sports or we're gonna work in music, but I can't help the starving artist with marketing because again, they're the starving artists. They can't afford my services. I'd rather help the insurance company and the accounting firm because they do have my money, right? So talk a little bit about that serial entrepreneur bug.
Sure. I mean, when I was doing that, right, the first thing that I look for, let me preface this. I love helping people. I help
Mm.
people all the time. I'm a business consultant. I consult people about financial planning. I love helping people and sharing what's in my head with others so that they can be successful. Now, I was doing that a little bit during the pandemic, and I started to realize that there's a lot of opportunity here. And the opportunity comes from other people's passion, right? If my passion is to help them, it's kind of irrelevant what the business is as long as
Hmm.
they are passionate about it, right?
Definitely.
Entrepreneurship's tough, man. If you are not passionate about what you're doing and the project you're on, you're gonna quit. You're absolutely gonna. You would have to be out of your mind not to quit if you are not
For sure.
insanely passionate about what you're doing. It's a lot of work, and there's gonna be few and far good days between all the bad days and hard work and non-pay days that you're going to have before you can succeed. So I always made sure that these people were passionate, and they were passionate about, well, certain ones. And I identified those people and I said,
Hmm.
look, I know you lack one or two of the most valuable resources in business. One, you have this skill set, but you don't have the funds to monetize it and turn it into a company. Or two, you have this skill set, maybe you do have the funds, but you don't have the business knowledge and experience to turn it into a successful entity, right? That's where
Hmm.
I would come in with them, right? I'd come in, I'd show them how to set it up, I'd show them how to turn this passion or skill set that they had into a company, right? Systematize it, make it run, make it profitable, and then let them spread their wings and fly.
That's awesome. No, that's super, honestly, I can relate from a helping people standpoint, right? Once you get in there and the entrepreneur has a business or a passion, for me, I'm a marketer. So they can maybe sell it, at least get it off the ground. But like, when I'm talking with them behind the scenes, it's like, dude, do you know like how good you are at accounting? Like, let's go sell your services, right? Like, come on, man. But why don't you talk a little bit about I don't know if you mentioned where you went to college. Did I ask you that question yet?
You did not.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, I went to the University of New Hampshire, got my bachelor's degree in politics, and I'll be quite honest with you, I have a very strong stance on this. It was the biggest waste of time and money I've ever experienced in my entire life. Quite honestly.
Yeah.
My mother's a teacher, a principal,
My mom is a teacher too. That's funny.
She really wanted me to go and finish, but man, I was already doing so well with my initial business. I had had it since 15. By the time I was going through college, I kind of knew what my path was.
Right. So you're in class, like, man.
sometimes, less often than not, but.
Okay. Speaking of college, you're actually talking at Vanderbilt pretty soon, which is a very prestigious university. How did you get that? How did that happen?
So I'm surprised you actually weren't aware of this. Our mutual friend, Chris Sismalich.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. He obviously knows a lot about my business endeavors. And he said, hey, I have a buddy over here that runs the finance club at Vanderbilt University. They're looking for guest speakers to come talk to the MBA program, yada, yada. Why don't you have a conversation with him? Mm-hmm. And he can introduce me to this gentleman, Alex. And after having a conversation with Alex, he said, I really want you to come into Vanderbilt and speak to this group, but I'm actually going to open it up to the entire business school and not just the finance department after we talked. So that was nice. A feather in the cap. So we're going to do something in November, date TBD, but I'm going out to Nashville and speaking to the program, and it'll be, kind of an A/B conversation, just like we're having now, and we'll see what happens.
Nice. I'm super glad that Chris kind of introduced you to that opportunity. I'm actually getting on a call with him later today. We're going to talk about an event that we're actually doing. So shout out to Chris Sismalich. There you go. Networking, baby. Yeah. So part of this podcast is about networking. Something just came to mind. The other week you said that or actually, I'll start here because it has to do with you having a Lamborghini, that whole networking, like Lamborghini mix, right? But first, I saw a post on your Instagram and it was like, dude, I finally got my Lamborghini, finally got my dream car. What was that like, man? That has to be awesome.
Man, I'll tell you, ever since I had been in college, and that was always the goal, I guess, right? When you're a young kid, right? You're always like, I got to get my Lambo. It's
on a poster.
Yeah. It was always the goal, right? Like, I'm going to be the guy in the Lambo. And I wanted it bad. I would work every day, and that was just kind of like, I thought when I got that car, man, that means I really, really made it. Mm-hmm. So for years and years, I wanted that car. When I was about 26 in 2018, financially, it seemed relatively achievable, like I could get it, but couldn't really justify spending that much money on a car.
Right.
Now, COVID went ahead and hit in 2020, and man, those prices were tanking, man. Like,
really?
Oh, they were so low. It was
nice,
unbelievably low. And I had been tracking the prices for 2 years, and they were so low. And honestly, bro, like one day I just woke up and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I see the prices, and I'm like, if you don't buy a Lamborghini today, you're honestly never going to have the balls to do it. I called up the dealership that day, bro. I said, I'm coming in. And I went in and I walked out with the car, and it was amazing. It was just like, wow, I finally achieved this massive goal that most people never achieve, right? It's always just a dream. And when I drove off with the car, or slightly before I drove off with the car, he told me, hey, just so you know, you're not buying a car today. excuse me, you're buying a lifestyle. And I think
Mhm.
that totally plays into that marketing aspect of the car that I know you wanted to touch on.
Definitely, definitely. And I saw you, I saw a picture where I guess you're dressed as Batman and talk a little bit about that and like the kids. I don't know if it was a charity or what, but what was that about?
Yeah. So I guess to preface this, the Lamborghini was matte black in color, and it kind of looks well, it really looks like the Batmobile.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a buddy of mine, he puts together charity events for kids, that are in the hospital, like young kids with cancer, stuff like that. And he asked me, he said, "Hey, these two kids, they're having this superhero themed birthday party parade for them. Would
Mhm.
you mind taking out your Lambo and dressing up as Batman and kind of like taking them for a ride in the Batmobile type of thing?"
Nice.
Yeah. And it was honestly awesome because I think it shows people that not everyone who drives those type of cars are, an asshole, to be quite
Yeah,
honest.
exactly.
Right? You honestly, like, yeah, you buy a lifestyle when you drive it off, but it's not all positive. You get a lot of negative,
Mhm.
associated just with driving the car. They don't know
For
you, but
sure.
you just have that negative opinion of you. And it was cool to show that, like, hey, I can do stuff with this car that can, be beneficial and help others too. It's not just I'm out here trying to show you that I have a lot of money or anything. So I really love
Right.
doing that. And I really loved, helping those kids out and giving them, a good time and a great experience.
That's awesome, man. I love charity events, and I would love to be a part of charity events more in Austin, Texas, both Austin and Dallas. Me and Chris are actually putting something nice together in Dallas pretty soon. But back to the networking, the initial question that I was super interested about the Lambo is that I didn't know that if you owned a Lambo, you had access to these cool networking events, and that just seems like a plus on top of even having the car of your dreams. So what was that networking event like?
Man, I'll tell you, I've met every single one of my partners for this investment group that I've started
Mhm.
from that car. So all of my board
Nice.
members that came on, they all came from that car. So that alone is great. But to talk about the exclusive networking experience that comes along with the car, I mean, you kind of it's kind of a key to a lot of things, to be quite honest for you. It opens quite a few doors. I
Mhm.
think that, outside of the private Lamborghini events, it opened many doors for me, not even including the board members I met. I got to meet a lot of other really great people that I did business deals with and had synergies with.
Mhm.
And it just kind of shows other people, hey, this guy's serious about his business. Whatever he's doing, it's working. If you guys have synergies, it'll probably work well together, right? Now,
Definitely.
as far as the exclusive Lamborghini events, I mean, those were amazing, right? They open up their doors at Lamborghini for events every so often, usually about once a month, invitation only to their customers. And
Mhm.
it's awesome because you get to network with some of the best in Austin, some of the best in business, some of the best in laws, just the best
Right.
at what they do. And they also have a passion for cars. And it's a really high level networking experience. And I really loved being, for the most part, the youngest guy in the room because,
That's awesome.
yeah, it was great. I learned a lot from that. I met a lot of great people, and everything's honestly, I have nothing bad to say about the whole experience. It was excellent. So,
That's awesome, man. No, you talk that that's pretty cool to be in a room like that because I imagine those people at that level of success, those are not the people that are hating on you for having the car, right? Me and my buddies actually talk about this. Like people like Chris, like it's hard to meet. Sometimes it's hard to meet, cool guys around the city because, Jay Waller talks about this on his podcast. But going back to his humble hometown, not everyone can stand with you in the fire, the fire that you're creating, right? So it's like, damn, this dude is a show off. Or like, you see the things that I post on social media. A lot of people don't like that, but the coolest guys do. The coolest girls do. They like all the stuff that I post, right? So why not drive the badass car, man? The right people come your way, huh?
yeah, I think it made me so many great connections, but like you said, it does come with negativity, right? There's people out there that are just gonna not like you based on your appearance alone. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter for what reason whatsoever, whether it's your online appearance through Instagram posts, whether it's the car you drive, whether they don't like the watch you wear. There's just people who are going to be negative towards you. And you know what? Sometimes they might express that to you, or they might say stuff to other people about you. But I feed off of that.
Yeah. Let's
love,
go.
I love that, man. I'll tell you, what drives me the most is people saying, he can't achieve this, he can't do this, he's that. Man, I take that, and instead of channeling that into anger and, you know, this, I don't know, how do I say, making it affect my brain in a negative way, I take all that negative energy and I harness it. And I turn that into my drive to continue to push. Yep. The more they talk, man, the more I'm going to succeed. And that's always been the case.
Definitely. A lot of great athletes do the same thing, right? Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. It's like, dude, you don't think I can do it, motherfucker? I'm about to go put in the work in the gym, right? Speaking of putting in work, we talked a little bit about entrepreneurship. And I think even before the call, right? Like we started the Zoom call like that, like, oh man, you know how it is to be an entrepreneur, right? So people are seeing a lot of the cool things that I'm showing on social media, that you're showing on social media, that, you know, you're driving the Lambo. What are some of the, you know, let's make this realistic for people that out there that are just starting as well, right? Let's go back to one of the hardest times in entrepreneurship, if you don't mind. What do you think was one of the hardest times during your come up, so to speak?
You know, I knew you were going to ask this question. I really
Awesome.
should have thought about it, to be quite honest with you. Well, you know, when I was about 19 years old, I was a sophomore in college. I had a really difficult time because my roommate actually drunk drove his car into a tree. It was a really traumatic event. It was the first time I had ever dealt with the death of any kind. And
wow,
that had really shook me. And to make matters worse, within 24 hours, I had a friend who had overconsumed alcohol. This is essentially the same day, and was passed out without a heartbeat or anything on the floor. And I actually had to resuscitate her back to life.
That's wild, man.
And I saved her. So I had just lost the life of a friend and saved the life of a friend within 24 hours.
Right.
And that really shook me up. I went home and I just reevaluated my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It put something in my head that said, man, you only have one shot at this. Life is fragile, you know, and you hit it with everything you've got, because you never know what's going to happen. If you've got a goal, you better achieve it, and you better achieve it now. There is no time to wait, because tomorrow is not going to be guaranteed.
Yeah. Tomorrow's promised to no man.
For sure.
Yeah, no, that's pretty wild. I've actually never been through anything like that myself, which is honestly pretty surprising. I actually expected the type of people I hang around, I expected something like that to happen, but thankfully it hasn't happened. No, but that's pretty crazy, man. So why don't you so that was when you were 19, right? Right now, at this level that you're at, you're about to speak at Vanderbilt, you got the car that you want, right? There's levels to this shit, right?
For sure.
What is motivating you to get to the next level?
You know, I want to touch a little bit back on the level that I was at, you know.
Go ahead.
I idolized getting that car, and I thought when I was younger, if you get that car, you have made it in life, man. You are you are killing it. Pretty shortly after you get that car, or you reach one goal, it unlocks the doors to the next level, and you see what's above that, and you're like, wow, I am absolutely nothing compared to what's up there, man.
Right.
Every time you climb a level, you're always looking up going, dang, I got so far to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just when you thought you hit the big one, right? You're just like, wow. And that drives me, right, to hit that next level because I want to keep unlocking. I want to keep climbing that ladder because you don't know what's above until you reach that next rung, right?
Right, right.
How high does this ladder go for me? How high can I climb this ladder? Can I climb it all the way to the tippity top, where Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, sits, or where
Yeah.
do I actually fall, right? Where does all of my work and passion and mindset and time, blood, sweat, tears, everything that I have poured into this and everything that I will pour into this, where do I stack up? What does this actually get me? How far can I go with it? And that's what pushes me to go up to the next level every time.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, honestly, because even for me, when I get like a badass car or something like that, I gotta imagine like even the next week, I'm like, okay, what's the next level, motherfucker? Like how far can we take it? That's what's pretty cool about being an entrepreneur, because you do have that kind of that freedom to play the game. I was just, telling my dad this the other day. I was like, I could have stayed at PricewaterhouseCoopers, but there's a level where you get stuck at a $300,000 a year partner. I was like, $50,000 and $300,000 a year. Honestly, in my mind, that's pretty freaking close to each other. That's not even like there's levels to this shit, right? Um, so speaking of that, I've been in Austin for a minute. I'm from the event side. I'm leveling up, and I'm gonna go move to Las Vegas pretty soon. Actually, I just want to know what your opinion is on Austin, the scene in Austin. And to give a quick background for you, I moved from Silicon Valley doing auditing for the VCs over there to Austin because I saw so much tech investing going on in Austin. And then I don't know if you know this, but it has this cool name now, Silicon Hills. I don't know if you've heard I don't know if you've heard people use that name, but what's just like the business scene like in Austin that you've noticed?
Honestly, I love the business scene in Austin. I mean, you
Mm,
can't argue that Austin is one of the fastest growing cities economically in the country. It's one of the
mhm.
primary reasons that I moved to Austin in the first place, right?
Right. Same. Yep.
Of course. Now, a lot of these businesses that are coming out here just happen to be tech companies and all that. But there's a lot of new money coming into Austin that's, blowing the price out of everything, to be quite honest with you. But,
Yeah.
you know, we're baby LA. LA was cheap at one point too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of money coming in here, a lot of opportunities. It's just the barrier to entry is growing much faster because as more money comes in, right, there's going to be higher barriers to entry to get in on the ground floor, right?
Yep.
So if you're thinking about coming to Austin, doing business in Austin, buying real estate in Austin, building your network in Austin, whatever it is, do it soon because this
Hmm.
city is set to boom in a big, big way. If it isn't already, but I think right now Austin is just an inkling of what it can be. You go to these major cities and you look
Yeah.
around and you see buildings sky high, packed in everywhere,
Hmm.
bridges, traffic, all of this stuff, so much business and commerce. And then you go to downtown Austin and it's underwhelming.
Right. Right.
When Austin reaches that level, which it will, right?
Yeah.
You're
We're
gonna
only in 2022. We're only in 2022, right?
I think, a lot of people will be disappointed that they don't get in at this level. If they haven't, don't get discouraged that you haven't been involved in the business scene or the real estate scene or anything like that up until now. There's
Mhm.
still so much room for growth here. You can take the example, just look in the streets, man.
Yeah, speaking of real estate, I have some real estate friends that are just every time we pass by downtown, they're just like, dude, this skyscraper is gonna be there. That's gonna blow up there. By 2026, like the population is gonna triple. And they're saying, statistics like that, right? So great time to be in Texas. Even though I'm leaving to Vegas, there's something in Vegas waiting for me, the entertainment and event scene out there. I'll still be involved in Austin and Dallas as well. Even though Dallas is already a big city established, has a great business scene, Texas in general is going to get bigger, right? because I do a lot of events in Miami as well, and I have friends that do events in LA. And right now in Texas, from the event side, we can't really hold a candle to places like LA, Vegas, or Miami, but it'll get there. And people don't realize that, really, right?
I mean, look at the GDP of Texas, the gross domestic product. If Texas were its own country,
Its own economy, yeah.
it'd be its own, it'd be the 10th highest GDP in the world. Okay. And if you come to Texas and you go, okay, this is the 10th highest GDP country in the world, dude, everything's undeveloped or underdeveloped. There's so much room here to do so much more. It's actually kind of scary what Texas can be. You know, it's going to blow up here, and Austin's just the epicenter of where things are happening right now. So I'm so happy to be here and be involved in projects here.
Love it. Love it. Speaking of growth and things coming in the future, you know, what are you most excited about in the business world going forward?
For myself?
Just in general for yourself, you know, I mean, even in like 2017, 2018, I was in Silicon Valley, excited about crypto, excited about blockchain, right? And I still am. And I know people recently got excited about NFTs, then there's a little crash now, right? But what's on the mind of Matt Cenca?
Right now, I mean, my sole focus is on my investment group here. That is kind of a crypto-centric investment group. We diversify our assets among digital assets like cryptocurrency. We invest in commercial real estate as well to kind of balance out some of the volatility inside that crypto portfolio. And then later on, we're going to be doing private equity investments into blockchain-based companies. So I've been working on it a year and a half. We're just getting ready to take off and launch, man. It's been a long, long road, a hard road, but I've buckled down. I've got it done. I've got the team, and I'm just ready to blow this thing out of the water. And I think this is going to be the thing that, you know, helps me climb a few rungs up that ladder that we talked about.
Love it, man. So check this out. Here's the thing that I see on social media a lot too. When people say that they're involved in blockchain or crypto, it's like it almost to people that are outside of crypto, it almost has a bad rap to it now, right? Because they're like, oh, it's a scam. Oh, like your idea is not going to work out, right? What would you say to those people that haven't really, because there's still room for people, that's a big thing I talked about, like in 2017, 2018, like once people adopt blockchain technology, once more people adopt crypto and actually know how to even buy Bitcoin, right? Because that was in 2017, that was one of my biggest criticisms is you're not making it easy enough for like my dad to use it, right? He's very confused. And back in 2017, it was worse. Like it's a little bit easier now, but what would you say to the people that are not involved in blockchain from a legitimate perspective? Because you'll have people, let's say on Instagram in the DMs trying to legit like scam you, sell you weird crypto things, right? But let's legitimize it real quick. What would you say to those people? Because there's still time to get involved, right?
Right. Now, I do want to say, yeah, there are a lot of scams surrounding the blockchain and cryptocurrency industry. You know, people are out there doing all these weird Instagram DMs and this, that, and the other thing, right? And I can see why people who are uneducated on the matter, they hear things, right? They have these DMs coming in and they just have a negative opinion about crypto and they think it's a scam. Or
why are you buying NFTs? You can screenshot it. You can screenshot
exactly,
it.
right. And, you know, people don't bother to do the due diligence and actually research what cryptocurrency is. I bet 99% of those people who are saying that can't tell you what the blockchain is, right? You ask them what's Bitcoin and they would say a scam. They don't actually know what the products are. They just take in information from outside sources and they just kind of have a formed opinion based on, you know, exterior knowledge. Now, to be quite honest with you, I think that people will change their tune relatively quickly. And the reason is because regulation in the crypto market and on the exchanges and all of that stuff, it's coming. It's here, but it's going to be coming. And I actually, and my team actually, we embrace regulation and laws surrounding this stuff to some degree.
Love it.
Why would we embrace that, right? Because the whole concept is this is supposed to be decentralized and so on and so forth and no government, all of that, right? But we embrace regulation because regulation brings legitimacy to the currency and the blockchain and all things like that. Once the government starts regulating this and saying, this is okay, and this is the legitimate way to do it, and this is, the way of life now and the law of the land, all these people are going to start changing their tune. They're going to say, oh, okay, well, the government says it's okay, and I guess, we can try it out. I truly believe that everyone who does not know what cryptocurrency is and all the naysayers of cryptocurrency will eventually, almost not even by choice, have to become believers, because it's going to be so ingrained in the technology of our everyday life in the future.
Right. No, I completely agree with you on regulation, right? And you have big companies, you have big VCs investing in crypto. And because these big VCs are investing in crypto, then the auditors like PwC or Ernst & Young, they have to then go in and audit. And that further legitimizes the space, right? So no, that adoption play is big, because the people that get in early, that's what they're really banking on. I thought from, my experience in 2017 with crypto is, oh snap, this is still very early. This is like, I knew about it in 2014, and dude, everyone has that price that they should have bought Bitcoin at, right? Yep. Mine was $320 something. I should have listened to Eric, which I'll have him on the podcast. But no, when did you first hear about Bitcoin? I'm super interested, or crypto.
So I first heard about it in 17, 18, and I bought a few Bitcoins actually at the price point of 3,000.
Nice.
A great entry point. Still hold all of those today. Bought some Ethereum too, but right around I think it was maybe 700 at the time, the Ethereum. Right. But I've invested some money in there. My business partner at the mobile device company, the wholesale company I was telling you about, he said, hey, like, we should look into this. And, he kind of sold me on. I was like, I don't really know what this is, but like,
yeah. Love it.
Exactly. Whatever. He's a research kid, so he's always researching. I was like, all right, I mean, we're not doing anything else, so let's do it. And we got in there, and we've been holding ever since. And I've been, kind of buying more and more as things have, as the years have gone on. It's a new and aspiring asset class, right? The upside potential of what these cryptos can do. And I'm talking about the legitimate ones, because there's like 3 million different coins, and there's probably only,
I can make a Juan Garcia coin tonight.
There's probably only like 25 legitimate projects that I would ever think about putting my money in.
Right.
But another reason people think it's a scam, right? There's all these coins out there. But yeah, I've been in it since then, and I've got a great team over here. I've got a Princeton graduate doing our research and making sure that we get involved in the right blockchain projects. And I've got a great guy taking care of the real estate as well. He already manages a large portfolio. The team's great, and we really are excited about the huge potential upside of the asset class. But to protect our downside and take out volatility, what we do is we invest in those commercial real estate assets to bring balance to the portfolio until we reach the next bull market with cryptocurrency.
Right, definitely. And I think that'll come because a lot of people, like on places like LinkedIn, they talk about the value, or why is this so valuable, right? It's just like anything else. It's like, why is gold valuable? Because people want it, right? With crypto, I personally think it's valuable because it comes down to accounting, right? There's 3 books in the ledger. So there's my book, there's your book, Matt, where let's say we're doing a business deal. And then there's the actual ledger that's stuck there on the blockchain that we cannot change, because I can change my records. You can change your records. The blockchain doesn't change. So it's quite legitimate, and it legitimately an accountant's dream. Like, that's the first industry that should worry about it, which I'm super surprised more accountants are not like just focused on blockchain, right?
Right. And people use blockchain and cryptocurrency interchangeably. They're not the same thing, right? The way I tell people is this.
Yeah.
Right. Cryptocurrency is basically an application of blockchain technology, right? So crypto is just a little app icon on your phone, whereas blockchain technology is what it's written on, right? That's the iOS on your phone, right? That's the operating system that app operates on. But there's so many other little applications that can be written for blockchain technology. For example, the accounting, there's uses for voting, right? Because
Right.
blockchain
I don't
itself,
think the US will do that though.
I'm not going to get into
Not
politics,
going to get into politics.
but that's what blockchain is, right? Blockchain is at its most basic level, an irreversible online ledger of anything, right? Whether it's a monetary transaction, whether it's a vote, no matter what, it's an irreversible public ledger that provides full transparency in all types of transactions. And there's a legitimate need for this.
And if, by the way, let me say this, and if you don't think that's needed, do your research on Wells Fargo. Just type in Wells Fargo fraud or Wells Fargo scam, right? They're changing the bank accounts of their own customers. But no, please continue, Matt.
Well, that was pretty much my whole blockchain crypto.
Yeah.
Right? That's what blockchain is. And crypto is just one application of what blockchain can do. So like I told you, we're planning on providing, private equity capital into blockchain-based companies and startups that want to take those new applications of what blockchain can do and apply them to the real technological world.
Definitely. And I know the NFT train got like super hyped up and then deflated pretty fast. But real quick, what's your opinion on NFTs?
Well, to be quite honest with you, there's about 5 NFT projects out there that are worth anything.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, not so much, right? Personally, I and my company as well, we don't invest in anything that does not have utility, right? That's the first level of analysis when you're looking at a cryptocurrency or an NFT or anything in the
blockchain. You have people investing in crypto that they don't know the utility of it. They don't know what it does.
And like I said, only about 25 of those coins have real world utility, right? It's like, you got to think of it as a business, right? Every time you invest in a cryptocurrency outside of Bitcoin, which is the only truly decentralized, you're making an investment in a tech company, right? And would you invest in a company that doesn't do anything, right? What does your business do? Oh, we print tokens and then we sell the tokens to make money. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not a business that I want to be invested in, right? I want to be invested in Ethereum, right? We are the network that all cryptocurrency transactions come through, most, there's competitors now, but nonetheless, the coin must have utility for it to have any value, right? It's just because something is scarce, they're like, oh, we're going to burn these coins and we're only going to mint a certain amount of these NFTs. Just because something's scarce does not make it valuable. If nobody wants it or it doesn't do anything, it's not worth anything, to be quite That is what NFTs are to me, right? There's very few of them that have any real world utility whatsoever. Now, I will mention, one of the big ones that everyone probably knows that does have real world utility. It's the Bored Ape project. Now, why does that one have utility, whereas, Joe Schmo's little robot picture doesn't?
Yeah.
Joe Schmo's little robot picture, you buy an asset that you've assigned a value to. I don't know how you came to that value, but the market has assigned a value and you bought this little picture of a robot, right? And you're banking that later on you can sell that robot for more money, right? But it's just kind of based on what the market thinks. It doesn't really do anything besides sit there and fluctuate with whatever everyone's thinking about little robot picture that day, right?
Right.
Now, the Bored Ape project is similar to the Lamborghini we talked about. Why? Because it comes with access, right? It's a key that allows you to go to these certain events and certain parties that only Bored Ape members can attend. The price point being extremely high for these NFTs, I've seen some in the millions, right? You know that you're going to be surrounded by the right network of people, and it's going to bring you a lot of great business connections in and outside of the crypto sphere, right? So it's an access key to a network that you wouldn't have had access to previously, which can actually, benefit you financially in the future. Whereas the little robot is just kind of, you know?
Right. No,
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because that's actually one of the only applications I'm really looking at, is because I'm dealing with so many events, right? I'm like, should all year we were talking about, should we make tickets to that event in NFT? We decided not to for our events this year because it takes money to mint them, right? Like, dude, okay, so we're gonna spend money on actually minting the NFT, and then we're gonna have to teach people how to get a freaking MetaMask wallet to even participate. So that's the whole thing with adoption, right? It'll get there. I think, you'll see people have season tickets to sports games using NFTs, right? If that's not already happening, I think Mark Cuban tried to do something up in Dallas. I don't know if he's still trying to do that, but like you said, people will eventually, they'll almost have to use blockchain technology at a certain point, right? They'll be pushed in that direction. Banks will use it, right? And if they're already not using it. So
I think that not only will banks use it, banks will be required to use it.
right. Love it. Hey, Matt, it was great having you on the podcast. I want to ask you one more question, but I want to let you take the mic for a little bit. Is there any last thoughts, anything, you want to get out there for the people? Just anything on your mind?
Oh man, I don't have anything prepared. I guess at the end of the day, I just hope everything I talked about today either educated you or inspired you to take action and better yourself, start that business, look into what blockchain is. Anything that I said, I hope it just, kind of lit something, a fire basically, under your ass to go and reach your dreams, man, because I'm all about helping people. And I hope my words today do help some people achieve what they want to achieve.
Love it. Love it. So here's the question I ask at the end of every podcast, which I've done one episode with Dalton, but you're going to hear me ask this question to a lot of people. Matt, so this podcast is the VIP Network podcast. I'm super glad I met you through networking, through, me hosting events, right? But I want to know from you, what's your number one networking tip for the people out there that they can go and use?
Number one networking tip. That's a good question. Well, I think we already touched on that a little bit too much. It's a little out there.
Buy the car, buy the Lamborghini, and then you're in.
It doesn't have to be the Lamborghini though, right?
Right.
It can be anything. Buy access, buy a membership to a cigar lounge. There's lots of businessmen and judges and lawyers that hang out there, right?
That's actually an awesome tip.
Yeah. I mean, invest in access to the network that will raise you up, right? They say you always want to be the dumbest person in the room. Well, it might cost you a little bit to be the dumbest person in the room, but it will pay back tenfold if you sit back, you gain access, you listen, and then you take action based on what you learn from being inside of these inner circles.
Dope. I love it, man. Again, it was great having you on the podcast. Where can the people, follow you? Where can they reach out to you?
Well, my Instagram is my name, so at Matt Cenca. I don't know if you're going to post it anywhere.
I'll put it in the description.
You can follow me on Instagram. Just send me a DM if I inspired you or made you a little bit angry. I'm around.
Go hate on his Lamborghini.
Yes. It's only going to make me push harder. So.
Oh man. I love it. Well, appreciate you, Matt.
All right, thanks, Juan. I really appreciate it.